Some mornings don't start with blue skies or big plans. They start with rain on the roof, steam on the windows, and the world moving a little slower than you expected. If you're new here, I'm David. I live full-time in my van, travelling and filming Scotland. And this winter, I'm getting ready to take on my biggest coastal road trip yet. But the last couple of weeks haven't gone to plan. I picked up a flu after a friend's stag do. And being ill in a van is probably the hardest part of this lifestyle. No escape, no spare room, just you, your thoughts, and the weather outside. So everything slowed down. Filming stopped, the road trip was delayed, and I had to do something I'm not very good at: resting. Today isn't about going anywhere far. It's about easing back in, moving my body again, getting cold, getting warm, and reminding myself why I chose this life in the first place. Sometimes the adventure isn't the miles you cover, it's learning when to pause before the next adventure begins. Well, good morning. I'm finally starting to feel human again. I picked up the flu at a friend's stag do at the end of November, and it's been pretty brutal, I'm not gonna lie. I was floored for around about 10 to 14 days, with one really bad night in particular where my oxygen level went down to 91, which was pretty hairy. Couldn't sleep, I kept waking myself up thinking, I couldn't breathe very well. I feel fine now, I've come through it thankfully, but it is no joke being sick when you're living in a van on your own. It's definitely the hardest thing about this lifestyle. When you're in a home, you've got your couch, you've got your spare room, you've got a bath. In a van, you've just got this space. And when you're ill or injured, this space becomes very, very small. Now, ordinarily, I actually quite enjoy it. I like living in a small space like this. It's become the norm for me now. But like I said, when you get ill or when you get injured and you're stuck in here and you can't really go outside because you're just trying to rest in bed, it becomes a very small space. And if you've followed me on other socials over the last 3 years, you'll know that I'm quite open about the challenges I've had with depression for many years in my late 20s, right through my mid to sort of late 30s. It was a pretty horrendous time. And when you're confined in a space like this, it's definitely something that you have to manage without question. I didn't film much, partly because I just needed to rest. I didn't have the energy, to be perfectly honest. But also because I just didn't want to film and edit, just for the sake of it, ultimately. It's one of these things, van life gets romanticised a lot, and I'm probably guilty of that as well. I suppose it's difficult really because people always see my reels and my posts and think, well, God, it's sunny in Scotland all the time. And the reality is that, I've talked about this on previous episodes, I can afford myself the luxury of tracing the weather because of my lifestyle choice. So if it's crap on the east coast, I can go to the west coast where it might be better, or vice versa. I can kind of follow the weather really. And ultimately, if I want to fly my drone, I can't do it in the rain and I can't do it in high wind. So then you're seeing these images of the beaches or the castles or whatever it might be from the air. Well, I need certain conditions to be able to actually do that in the first place, And, this next series, the coastal road trip around the whole of mainland Scotland, it is going to be much more nitty gritty because I'm not going to be avoiding weather. I'm setting off to do a particular route over a particular period of time. I'm going to take my time doing it, but it really is going to be a little bit more raw. I suppose a little bit more like this, introspective episode, if you like. This is definitely, like I said, being sick is definitely the hardest part about van life. You start to question a little bit more. You get frustrated with your own body. you really realise pretty quickly just how important your health is. I mean, it is the most important thing, whether you live in a van or when you're living in a home. But when you're living in a van and you're solo, it can be a bit of a wake-up call, you know, because there's no one there to help you. So you really need to maybe make some changes to look after yourself a bit more than you think you should. And I was meant to be well into my road trip by now, but you know, things happen unfortunately, and this has just added a slight delay to that. I mean, I don't mind filming when I'm ill and I'm on it, because I want to really show the true realities, but I didn't want to start it. And to be honest, I was really ill. It was the full-on flu, so it just wouldn't have been. I would have burnt myself out very, very quickly. So I thought I'd best just hold off and hold back on it. So really, instead of sort of chasing the plan, of kind of taking stock and realise kind of where I am, where I was at that particular moment in time. And I think you have to do that, you know, every now and again. So today isn't about distance or productivity, and certainly not, you know, ticking any boxes. It's just about moving again, getting out, getting some fresh air. You know, it is raining, but getting out there, getting a little bit of movement into the legs, and just seeing where I am right now. You know, ultimately reminding myself of why I chose this lifestyle in the first place. You know, sometimes the most important days just don't look like much on camera. That's the reality of it. So instead of worrying about what I've not done or what I should have been doing by now, I'm just gonna see how my body feels today. It's the first proper walk I've had in a couple of weeks, and it's funny how your body reminds you when you've been ill. You feel it in places you maybe wouldn't normally. My lower back is quite sore at the moment, I think just because I've been lying down in my bed so much over the last couple of weeks and really not getting any movement in. I used to think you sort of needed big days to feel like you'd achieved something, but after being ill, even this feels like progress, you know. I'm not trying to prove anything today. I'm just checking in with myself and seeing where my body's at. That's probably one of the biggest lessons van life's taught me. You can't ignore your body for too long out here. Now, there is one thing that always helps me reset. It's time to wake myself up. This will tell me pretty quickly how I'm feeling. Okay, that's enough for today. Cold water has a way of cutting through the noise. Just for a couple of minutes, nothing else matters. No plans, no timelines. You're just concentrating on your breathing and settling into the cold. And when you come out of it, you remember how lucky you are just to be able to do things like this. It's moments like this that make everything else feel like a bonus. That's me officially warmed up again. You know, cold water has a way of kind of reminding you exactly where you are. And I just want to take a little moment here because over the last few weeks, the amount of support that I've had from all of you watching, my followers, has really been everything to me. I'm hugely grateful for it. You know, without your merchandise orders, you know, whether it's a hat or a mug or, you know, a sticker for the fridge or your bumper, my calendars have sold really, really well for 2026 that are available on my website. You know, without you guys doing that and the buy me a Guinness, you know, donations, you know, I wouldn't be able to take these sort of next steps. And for those of you that have been following me for a while, you'll know that I did take a bit of a leap back in sort of September, where I decided to try and do this full time instead of going off to work at sea, offshore, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And it's a big decision, it's a massive decision. It came with a lot of fear, and I've embraced that fear. But without your support, really none of this would be possible, to be honest. Like I've said, I've reinvested all of it back into this channel and the content that I'm making as I go forward. And just to say a massive thank you, because I really need to show you this, because I wouldn't have these things if it wasn't for you. I did recently get myself another camera. I use the DJI Pocket 3 and the Action 5 currently, along with the Insta 360 X4, and I got myself the new DJI Nano, which is a tiny little camera, as you can see, and it's really going to allow me to do some things that I don't tend to do very often. Now, on this road trip, I really want to promote buying local and local businesses. This is really going to help me be a little bit more comfortable filming inside places where others might be. I'm not one for walking about with a selfie stick into a little local farm shop or something like that. I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable with it. But with this, you get a little magnetic necklace and you can just clip it on. I can put it onto the end of a cap, or I can even put the magnet inside my beanie there and just have it sitting there. It's just a little bit more inconspicuous and will make me a little bit more comfortable filming kind of undercover, but it's also going to allow me to get some pretty cool shots. It's magnetic, so I can stick it on the outside of my van. I can put it in places inside the cab and film whilst I'm driving, just to give different angles, you know, as I go. So thank you very, very much for all, like I said, the purchases, all the donations, and the creme de la creme. It's just something I've wanted for ages. I actually got myself a new drone as well with the money that I've received. And it's a bit different from my usual type of drone. I use the DJI Mini 3 Pro, which gives you sort of standard drone shots. And what I did was I ended up getting a different type of drone altogether, one I've wanted for a while, and it's the DJI Avata 2. I cannot wait to get flying this. I haven't even flown it yet. I'm going to be doing it as I go on this road trip, to be honest. I might even just include it in an episode, just me learning how to fly my drone, because it's not a normal drone. It's a first-person view drone, which means I have to wear these goggles when I'm flying it. And it literally puts me in the cockpit of the drone, essentially, and it will give me the ability to do these incredible fly-through, almost like a bird soaring, you know, around the cliffs or the castles, and they go into tight spaces and things like that. It's just going to add a different dynamic altogether to my content, which I'll be able to supplement with my normal drone shots as well, depending on what I think is going to suit the scene or suit the episode better. But it's going to give a completely different perspective to my drone work. And none of that would be possible without you guys. So I just wanted to say a really sincere thank you to you all. Like I said, for all the buy me a coffee, well, buy me a Guinness donations, all the calendar sales, the merch sales over recent months. I wouldn't be able to do this without you all. So thank you very much. You know, I know how lucky I am to do this. You know, I live in a van, travel all over Scotland and other countries as well, and tell stories and film it for a living. You know, it's like a dream come true really for me. But none of it's possible without all your likes, with your shares, with your subscriptions to this channel. It's just not possible without that. You know, even just something so basic as a share. you know, from a YouTube episode or an Instagram post or a Facebook post or whatever it might be. It's just not possible. And the next series definitely isn't possible without you, because it's your suggestions about where I must go and things I must see, must do along the way. You know, that are gonna create the episodes on a week-to-week basis, because I'm gonna film, edit and post as I go once a week. So you're really gonna be coming along with me for this next journey, and I can't wait. And it is gonna be a challenge because I'm gonna be doing it through, you know, the winter months. I'm planning on taking my time and doing it over a sort of 3-month period. So if I set off in the early stages of January, I'm going to be on the road until probably the end of March doing this road trip, which is going to be a real challenge, you know. And the thing is about winter in a van, it's all about the basics. Right, so it's soup time. This is my go-to winter, whether it's a stew or a soup or something like that, along those lines. But obviously I've been unwell, so a nice soup, sort of lentil veg and some nice ham. And it's the same as, you know, in a house. Everyone in Scotland over the winter period, you know, I would imagine, is eating, you know, home comfort foods, mince and tatties, stovies, soups, things of that nature. Something that's real stodge. And I've got some tiger bread to go with it as well. So I'm gonna get this cooked up and enjoy the warmth it gives me. And when you're cooking food like this as well, I mean, I've got my heater on, as you know, but the van's a small space, and when you're cooking like this, it becomes more than food. It becomes warmth, it becomes heat, everything, really. Obviously, the only thing you need to think about when it's colder is condensation, and I tend to get it in the front of the van in the cab more than anywhere else, especially in the morning. I do put the extractor fan on every now and again, and if it stopped raining, yeah, it has now, I'm just going to open the door a little bit. Yeah, so that's the door open a little bit, and it just allows the steam to escape. But if it was pouring rain, I would just have this Max Air fan running above my head, because you can use them in the rain as well. You know, one of the most popular questions I get all the time is, how do you stay warm in winter? And it's not just sort of one thing, I would say. It's a number of things that help with that. I mean, the van is fully insulated, ultimately. But it can still get to, you know, on a really cold morning, the thermostat on my heater might only be registering 3-4 degrees Celsius, which is pretty cold, you know. But you seen the heater going on earlier, and I pressed that on with my hand, but I've actually got little remote control which sits at my bed, and I can turn that on when I'm in bed in the morning. And because the van's such a small space, after 5 minutes the van's heated up to whatever temperature I've set it at. I usually set it around about 18 degrees Celsius or something like that, just like above standard room temperature, but you can put it as high or as low as you want really. So that's one method. Certainly having my diesel heater, which runs off the main fuel tank as well, is invaluable. I think it only uses about a litre of diesel for every 4.5 hours of usage. And I've never had to change it, and I've been in the van for over 3 years. The owners that had it before were in it for a year as well, and it's still going, just one of these sort of typical Chinese diesel heaters. Other than that, it's just basics, wrapping up, wearing warm clothes. For at bed at night, I mean, I'll have my heater on until I go to sleep anyway, so it's nice and toasty in the van at night, to be honest. But the bed itself as well, I tend to use these sort of fleece sheets that you get just through the winter months, and I've got a really nice mattress. It's incredibly comfortable, which makes a difference, but I've got a really thick mattress topper, and this duvet is like a TOG 14 or TOG 15, so it's pretty thick and heavy, and it just keeps you super warm, super cozy at night. But yeah, it's just all those little things. I mean, van life isn't about being comfortable all the time, ultimately, is it? You're going to be uncomfortable at times as well, but generally speaking, it's absolutely fine if you've got a decent setup like I do, to be perfectly honest. And I've had it in real sub-zero temperatures before, and it's been absolutely fine. Days like today aren't flashy, but they're the ones that keep me going. All you need is enough warmth, enough food, and a wee bit of peace. And some buttery tiger bread to dip in. Oh, yes. And by the time the light fades, and it's already started, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's already getting dark outside. Everything just becomes really peaceful and just slows down anyway. All on its own. This is probably one of my favourite parts of van life in winter. Just, you're done for the day, done all you can do. You've had some nice food, got some warmth in your belly, and get the projector on, stick a movie on. And it is Christmas time, so my movie of choice is Die Hard this evening. And why not? It is a Christmas movie as far as I'm concerned. And at times like this as well, it's nice to reflect on the year that you've had. It's been an amazing year really for me. I mean, there's been some downs as well, but all in all, it's been a really positive one. Right from the start of the year in February, going to Lewis and Harris for over a week was just brilliant, and then went to the Isle of Arran to explore there, the Isle of Mull, and then of course headed across to Switzerland, which is just absolutely fantastic. I loved it there, and spent a couple of days in Chamonix in France as well. And I've got so much planned already right for the start of the year now. This road trip's going to kick off, fingers crossed, as planned, and it's going to be my biggest yet, all the way around Scotland's mainland, and I can't wait to share it with you all. And I'm heading home very, very soon just to spend time with the family at Christmas. You know, I love this lifestyle and I love being away and travelling in the van, but there's nothing quite like going home, you know, to your family and all catching up around the dinner table. It's something, when I was suffering from depression for many years, it's actually the month I probably dreaded most, and it's when things weren't good for me. December's always a tough month. I always used to put myself in a financial trouble trying to buy presents for everyone and things like that. And just with the, you know, the dark nights being so early, it's very easy to fall into that when you're in that cycle. So however your Christmas is going to look to you this year, just be kind to yourself. That's all we can do. And before I leave you, there's just one thing I would like to say. Thank you for watching these videos. Thanks for all your supportive messages. Thanks for all the likes, the shares, the merch, the calendars. You know, it's been it doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm incredibly grateful. You know, and for many of you that have booked from all over the world to come on one of my group adventures with me so far, next year, thank you very much for that. Again, they are up on my website. There's dates available in April, May and June. And I've got people coming from Australia, from Canada, from America, from Germany, kind of everywhere really. And obviously some people from here as well. And I cannot wait to meet you all. I really, really can't. And next week I'll be sharing a film from my time on the Isle of Orkney. It's a place that really took me by surprise and I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to put a longer video together of all the things, all the adventures I got up to whilst I was there. So from me, my family, to you and yours, have a very Merry Christmas. I'll see you next week.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Like and subscribe for more van life adventures.